Welcome to another Minute Microscopy. I'm Eric Rosenblatt, and today I'd like to share a few thoughts about property rights. Okay, buckle up because this is going to be a longer ride than usual. So, though there can be a lot of confusion and debate about what constitutes a right, a privilege, or an entitlement, with those things often being conflated, negative rights, positive rights, all that jazz. I feel when it comes to property, the consideration of rights should be much clearer. Although I suppose the definition of property can be a little fuzzy at times. I guess property is essentially anything you own, meaning you have exclusive control over it. At the most fundamental level, you own yourself. That makes sense because, well, you are yourself, and you alone truly control yourself, which makes your body your property, which I think is pretty indisputable. The next level up is your labor, expending your energy, resources, and duration of your life. If you own your body, then you own the product of its labor. If you act alone, say, collect things from the wild and make something out of it, well, you own that. But this level is a little more complex. If you work with a team, then you alone can't claim total ownership. If we scale up this concept to something like a factory, as a factory worker, you might have operated the machine that stamps the widget out of metal. So that's your contribution to production. But others had to build the machine, buy the machine, transport it, assemble it, maintain it. Someone had to source the metal. Someone had to mine the metal. Someone had to design the widget in the first place. Someone had to find places to sell it once it's produced. Someone had to oversee production. Someone had to acquire the land the factory is built on. Someone had to build the factory. Someone had to, well, the list is endless. Did I say a little more complex? Yeah, it's much more complex. In essence, yes, you own your body. You own the work it does, but you don't own the widget, even though your hands were immediately responsible for its existence. When you work as a team, there's a shared labor and shared ownership. And since you can't split the widget amongst yourselves, there's a necessary division of compensation from the proceeds of widget sales. It's the best way, really. Yeah, there's a case to be made that the compensation is imbalanced, but that's kind of a tangential topic. The point is that even as a team, you own the work you do because you can choose whether or not to accept the terms of the arrangement. Whether you feel it's fair or not, you can still decide for yourself, just like you just like you can decide if you want to try to build something from things you found in the wild, even if you don't have the skills, tools, or knowledge to do so. Whew. Now, this brings us to the next level up of property, and I would consider this level to be comprised of two sub levels. The first level is stuff, loose objects you didn't build, but instead traded with another party for. If you traded honestly according to agreed to terms, that property is yours and you own it. And whatever you exchanged with the other party is now their property. The key thing with the stuff category is it's movable and not fixed in place. So the second sublevel would be land, real estate. And this is where, in my opinion, things get dicey. The way we the, the way we currently treat land is in the form of parcels and plots, stuff like that. But the thing is, that's an arbitrary distinction. When you look on a map, you see dividing lines all over the place, depending on how deep into the weeds you want to get. But, survey the actual surface of the earth, and short of natural divisions like rivers and such, those lines don't exist. Unlike property in the stuff level, you can't just pick up a slice of the earth and carry it somewhere else. In fact, if you did, the property lines would technically still be there. Even if you removed the material all the way to the planet's core, the parcel would remain unmoved. What am I getting at here? Well, it's that land is a special case. Not only is real estate tied to coordinates and not a physical object, that the way we do things right now, it also constitutes the very hull of Spaceship Earth, the place we all live on, right? Now, I'm not advocating that we adopt some kind of communal ownership philosophy, though truly every person and no person owns the earth. There is certainly a great deal of value in owning what you call home, having exclusive rights to the space that you live in or the space you work or create in. The world would be a very chaotic place if that wasn't the case. But the current parcel/border system is not the ideal way, at least not the way that provides a benefit to all, unless you're an elite. It's not enough to purchase a geometric shape on a map and claim the entire space in the real world as your own. No, I propose a totally different idea, one where use, not deeds, determines ownership. So, what if, in order to own land based property, you had to be using it? Perhaps for living, farming, manufacturing, storage, etc. Whatever the case, to maintain property rights over land, you'd have to be doing something with it. Naturally, there could be a little bit of leeway, little space for elbow room, maybe a bit of wild around your house or whatever. There's a limit, though. Seriously, does it make sense for someone to have exclusive rights over 10,000 acres of land that they're not using at all? Perhaps it's logical to accept an initial claim over such a space, but if it lies fallow for an extended time, then anyone else who would put that space to use could simply claim it for themselves. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. What about parks? What about having untouched nature preserves? Well, those are definitely important things. Parks and conservation spaces, forestry areas, and stuff like that, they tend to be maintained. They're specifically set aside for those purposes, and in most cases are accessible by the general public. So if you own a huge amount of land but leave it open to everyone to enjoy, then honestly, I don't really see that as invalidating your ownership, even if you charge admission. I mean, after all, maintaining that much land can be costly. But I don't believe that simply having an official piece of paper that says you own a geographical space should necessarily give you exclusive rights over it. Whether you're an individual, a corporation, or a government, the earth is where we live. We ought to be free to live on it, travel over it, and have autonomy over our own spaces, things, and selves. If we allow ourselves to believe that our property rights are derived from nothing more than a contract, well, then someone could theoretically purchase or procure every square inch of land on the planet and tell every single living thing to follow the rules or GTFO. Huh. Wait a minute. Haven't governments done that already?